Today we're on day 5. Write it down. Today I want to encourage you, when it comes to prayer, to write it down. We're going to take a look at a few verses in the Old Testament in a book that many of you have never looked at or maybe have never even heard of. It's the book of Habakkuk. And here's what it says in Habakkuk 2, verses 2 to 3. Then the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets, so that a runner can carry the correct message to the others. This vision is for a future time. It describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently for it. Will surely take place. It will not be delayed. See, Habakkuk had asked God a question, and he was waiting on God to reply to him. Before God gives Habakkuk his answer, here's what he says to Habakkuk. He says, Habakkuk, write it down. God's reason for telling Habakkuk to write it down was so that Habakkuk and others would be able to look back at it and remember that God had given them an answer to something, but it was going to come about in the future. While they were waiting, God didn't want them to forget what he had said, and he wanted them to be able to go back and read what was written. When they became discouraged, or maybe when they doubted God, they needed to be able to go back and see what was written. They were going to need to be reminded of what God had said to them and what he promised he would do for them. Well, here's the deal. The same is true for you and for me. We need to write it down. It's so powerful to be able to go back and read the things we have talked to God about in the past and to be reminded of the answers he's given and the things he says to us. Now, if I'm going to be honest with you, I'll tell you, for most of my life, I've had pastors and other leaders tell me that I need to write it down. Whenever they did, I just kind of blew it off. I didn't like to write. It slows me down and it really frustrates me. But just a couple years ago, I started writing down the things I was struggling with or the questions I was asking God. Then I would just stop and listen, and I would start writing down what he was saying to me. Man, I got to tell you, I'm so glad I started doing that. I can't tell you how many times I go back to read what God has said to me and be reminded of how he's answered me. So here's what I've learned from writing it down. When I write it down, my conversations with God, it helps me to stay focused, which was always a struggle for me. And it provides great encouragement for me when I begin to doubt God or I'm feeling discouraged. So my encouragement for you today is to write it down. I'm confident that when you do, it'll help you focus. Your times of prayer will be more meaningful, and you'll be surprised by how much strength and encouragement you'll get from it. Write it down.